Hello.
Whoop.
Hello.
Is it working?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear
Can you
me?
see me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Did
okay.
something go
Well, then
wrong?
on my side, it's just all black screens.
Oh, no,
So
it
hey,
was fine
but
for
if
me. I did.
if
I
you can
did
see me,
almost
then
accidentally.
hello.
I did almost accidentally close out of the tab right as we were starting because I was trying to close a different tab. Oh, we are not being heard.
What?
Uh, Literally everything is going wrong today. It's fine. Um, we have audio. Hold it 1 second. Let me grab my phone. I'm gonna hop on Twitch. Ugh. Oh, dear goodness. Why, Zeal? Why would you do that? Gosh. Okay, so fun fact today has been like the worst Sunday I've had in a very long time. I slept like 4 hours last night. I laid in bed for 4 hours just trying to get to sleep, and my brain would not shut up. And then I've been rushing around all day today, and so I would not be surprised at all if, for whatever reason, it just wouldn't work. Like that just sounded like the day that we were going to be having. So thanks
Yeah,
for
it
that,
was it was the
Josh.
perfect time for him to say that because
Gosh.
I was like, well, I mean, make all my screens are still black. So hey, I mean, if y'all can hear us and see me, then hey, well, I mean, we're
That's so
good.
weird.
I know my computer's it's
Huh.
dying. It's gonna be done. So, welcome into the Gamers Roast podcast. I'm your host Joshua J. Alongside me, Wesley Lance.
Hi.
And today is June 26th. Hey, I got it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Got the date.
I mean, it's nice that we're now just saying the date that we're recording rather than 3 days in the future like we used to.
That's true. I mean, for those of you listening on podcast services around the globe, it would be the 29th. So,
Yes.
but dude, can you believe we're pretty much done? Like we're like halfway through the year, over halfway through the year.
I try not to think about it.
I mean,
I try not to think about the
it
passage of time.
so much has happened this year. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, this is Gamers Roast Podcast. This is where we bring you all the crazy, awesome, good news and bad news and just
Weird
weird
news.
news in games. Sometimes about doing drugs, but not all the time. Sometimes we talk about bad and sad stuff, but not
It's
all the times.
either, it seems to be either drugs, existentialism, unqualified economic perspectives, or sometimes all three.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't
And we
even know
always
what
somehow
the
tie it to
heck we
games.
talked about last week, but
Sadness.
it was, like, but it was
sad.
also like happy. It was nostalgia. I don't know. It was weird, man. It was a weird
Yeah.
episode. It was a good one, but we have
Yeah.
some conversations on this show, man.
For sure. And we
For
have a
sure.
lot more coming to you today too, so stay tuned for that. But we are excited for all of you guys that could tune in. I know it's a little bit earlier than normal, but sometimes schedules get in the way, and it's not like there's 1,000 of everybody trying to watch. Not that you guys don't matter, but if we had 1,000 people, we'd try to keep a lot closer, tight knit of schedule. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your puppies, your dogs, your
Your
cats, whoever has
random
a phone.
neighbor who doesn't even play video games. Did I tell you the
Yep.
story about remember when so way back when we had that Blue Lion coffee roaster coffee? The place that I got that was like a living history festival or whatever. And I was at the counter. So like most of the things that were around there were like, replicas of old like Native American weapons and like musket loader guns, that sort of thing. Oh, we got an echo.
My bad.
Um, and then I saw the coffee and I was like, oh, I have to buy this. I have to try this for my show. And I was up in line buying the coffee. And I mentioned that I had a podcast. And somebody, let me point out that Michaela and I were probably the only two people there under the age of 40. It was mainly older people. So there was this older couple in line, and they're like, "Oh, do you have a?" I was like, "Yeah, I have a podcast where I review coffees and I talk about video games." And the wife was like, "Oh, keep the coffee, lose the video games." And I was like, "You know what? Nobody asked you."
Yeah, you did tell us that one, or you told me that one time.
Yeah, I wasn't
I
sure if
I
I'd
just
said it on the podcast or not, but I just felt like being indignant.
yeah, I
Then.
can't remember, but it's like, man, lady, like, chill, Karen, chill. No. I do want to give a shout out though. If I can find it here. Oh yeah, to Cody. For last week he subscribed and all that stuff.
Nice.
He hopped on our YouTube and left a comment on the video and said, "So thanks to you guys, I bought me some 3 Avocados coffee and I dropped the podcast name in the note. Great stream. Had to catch the rest after you guys were done. I had something come up, but great job."
Oh,
So we are selling people on some coffee.
hey, maybe Three
So
Avocados will check us out.
hey, could you imagine if they sponsored us? That'd
That
be
would
awesome.
that would be like meeting your movie star idol.
They always say not to meet your heroes.
They
So
always
maybe
say
we
not
don't
to
look,
meet your heroes.
3 Avocados might be like, "You guys suck," and we'll be like, "We thought you were so great. I'm sorry." They're like, "We won't let you try our coffee, and in fact, we're suing you for mentioning it." It's like, okay.
Yeah, cool, great.
Nowadays, they'd win that. So, but anyway, let's get into
Yeah.
the whole spiel. I thought like an idiot and was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to go get a Frosty-cinno so I could review it on the podcast." We've already done that on the podcast, so
Yep.
this is Greenwood edition instead of
You're
South
gonna
Bend
do it again.
edition.
I have a new one, and I'm going to get it poured now so we can get all off. But it is Rise Brewing Company, oat milk mocha nitro cold brew coffee latte. I don't think we've tried the Rise yet. It went hiss. We haven't tried the Rise yet, have we?
I don't think so.
It would. You know what? It would fit the theme of today if both of us had a coffee that we've tried before. Michaela is shaking her head at me that we have not done this yet, so I'm going to. We're late, Aaron. We're early. Oh no, I'm heading to. Wait, you're late. Yeah, whatever. No, we're actually earlier.
What
than
are you
normal.
doing with your late, dude? You need to take care of your late, bro.
Take care. He's doing the why are you are. I was listening to the episode last week and I realized that half the time we refer to comments and then no one can actually read them. So it sounds like we're just randomly like going off the rails half the time. So I'm gonna do a better job of like mentioning that we're actually responding to comments to people who are listening via podcast. Aaron did the your spelling thing, and so Josh is like, it's your late. So anyway, this is mine today. It is this Rise Brewing Company oat milk mocha. I know, Aaron. I'm going over to Aaron's house later, and literally, Aaron, today has been rough. All right, give me a break. So yeah, this is what I got. I'm excited to try it. It looks good. I like chocolate. I like oat milk, and I like coffee. Also, I want to point out that I'm drinking out of this mug, and Michaela got this custom made for me a while back, and it's got like stat points on it. It's like a little RPG character with me on it, and
What
then
stat points? What are the stat points?
It's got creativity, kindness, and charisma.
And what's the highest?
Creativity is the highest, I think. So yeah, I got like a 5 in creativity,
then kindness, then charisma,
and then charisma. And then the one thing that I'm not sure how I feel about is as you drink it, you go from full power to game over. I don't know.
Ever hit game over.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was really thought through, but yeah, it's just a cute little glass.
That is really cool, though.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Here goes nothing. Ew.
I'm happy with my Frosty-cinno.
It's ooh. It tastes good. It's got a weird aftertaste. Or like not even aftertaste, like you know how like you get a separate taste with coffee in your nose from your mouth? That's where it is. Yeah, I think it's the nitrogen. Thanks, Derek. Appreciate it. Derek's like, that is a cute little glass. I will finish it just because I bought it, but that
game over, Wes. It'll be game over.
I don't know that I would recommend that. It's got a weird. I don't know. It's got like a weird other than that, it tastes fine. There's nothing super special about it, but I don't know if it's their nitrogen or if it's their oat milk, but something tastes a little. I don't know.
Their oats got rotten. Also, Aaron, I'm ashamed and sad and upset that you didn't invite me over.
You live an hour. You live 2 hours away, Josh.
I could drive.
You definitely could have come. Yeah, Aaron, I know I'm late. I'm sorry. I told you I would be there, and I wasn't. I failed you.
I'll be there, so follow me
I'll be
today.
there for you.
You clapping for yourself? Jeez.
No, it's the Friends theme. No one told you life was gonna be this way.
I don't watch
But
Friends.
then I just
I only
decided
see
to
the YouTube
go
shorts.
completely off the rails because I've had 4 hours of sleep and 2 cups of coffee. So
Fair enough.
I'm gonna be a little manic depressive today. It's gonna be fine. I'm gonna be like bouncing off the walls and then crying the next second. Y'all be ready
Oh,
for this.
nice.
All right, I'm
Well,
gonna share
let's
my
get into
screen
the
real quick.
roast.
Hold it, we gotta rate the
Oh,
coffee.
right.
All right. Okay. Um, I'm gonna have to go pretty low on this one. Like, it's certainly passable, but that weird flavor probably puts it at like a. I'll give it a 4.5. I
What
think.
did I have my Frosty-cinno at?
1 second. Brewing company, oat milk, mocha. All right.
Hey, my
Where did
camera turned on. Let's go here for me
hey
to see it.
where did
I
you
can see
have
everything now.
Frosty-cinno? You had it at a 7.
I'm gonna keep it there. This one tastes
You're gonna
really
keep it at
good.
the 7?
I'm
Go
gonna
for it.
keep
All
it at
right.
this.
Go. Good for you, Wendy's. Way to keep the status quo. Yeah. Okay, Derek. Did you miss it? So
4.5.
it tastes. I'm gonna stop sharing. It tastes fine. It just has a weird aftertaste that other nitro cold brew coffees that I've had don't have. That kind of ruins the flavor for me. Like, I'm going to finish it because A, I bought it, and B, it's not like
Oh,
undrinkable.
and we
But
had different
it
coffees, Derek.
yes, we did. Oh yeah, no, this is not the Frosty-cinno. This is the I'm gonna shove it in the camera again. The RISE Brewing Company oat milk mocha.
So yeah, don't think that he didn't disrespect Wendy's like that.
I, I done did the Frosty-cinno dirty. Anyway, I stop. Don't think about it. Don't overthink it, Josh. I'm just gonna say things and we're gonna move on. All right.
Okay.
Roast of the week. I'm not even. I feel like the roast of the week at this point has just become Wes finds a story that makes him laugh and talks about it because I don't even know who to roast at this point. But I'm going to talk about it anyway because it's funny. Ubisoft developer, this is GameRant.com, Kevin James Billings. Ubisoft developer reveals horrifying detail about Assassin's Creed horses. All right. Game development is never an easy task, especially with games looking to push boundaries, whether it be graphically or the player experience. Assassin's Creed has been one such series, especially in the early games of the franchise where the teams at Ubisoft were building many parts of the games from scratch. A developer who was part of the original games team says one of these is the game's horses, which the developer says came about by twisting the game's human skeleton renders into a horse. The original Assassin's Creed, released back in 2007, was an open world action adventure game set during both modern day and the Third Crusade in the late 12th century across the Holy Land, which includes modern day Israel and Syria. In the modern setting, players take the role of Desmond Miles, a bartender abducted by Abstergo Industries, tasked with using a machine known as the Animus to explore the genetic memories of his ancestor. His ancestor in the Third Crusade is Altair? Altair, a member of the Assassin Brotherhood tasked with halting the plans of the Templar Order to establish peace through control and manipulation. Speaking on the development of the game, former Ubisoft developer Charles Randall spoke about some of the challenges the team at Ubisoft Montreal faced while working on the then new title. One of these challenges was the game's horses, something Randall said the game's toolchain was unable to work with in the 3D environment that the team created. Instead, he said the game's, quote, amazing animators and riggers, unquote, were tasked with twisting a human skeleton into a horse that could be rendered in engine. Other development challenges Randall touched on, including creating Altair's fellow assassin and rival turned friend Malik, who the team had problems rendering a skeleton due to the lack of funds. He said in Malik's case, the team created his missing arm by turning his left arm inside out, something Randall said players might be able to notice if they get the camera to clip into the arm. As horrifying as the creation of Malik's missing arm is, there's something players can find potentially nightmare-inducing about the process of creating Assassin's Creed horses. It also reflects the need to be able to adapt and improvise that is needed at every level of game development, whether it be a tentpole release like Assassin's Creed or smaller titles built with a relatively small budget or smaller team. It would not be surprising in Assassin's Creed case that this work served as the foundation of horses for future games, all the way up to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So, Coffee 2.3, cute little glass, 12 out of 10. Thank you, Derek. I guess the roast would be, first of all, applause for the developers for quick thinking, but you did not need to tell us. We did not need to know that. We did not need to know that the horses are just human skeletons being transformed and warped and created into your own gruesome image. Like, no. Especially because apparently it's like that in Valhalla. Like, that is still the case.
I mean, if it works, it works.
Assassin's Creed just went from a stealth action adventure platform to a horror game really quick.
Yeah.
Like, guys, no, don't tell us. If you're going to do something like that, don't tell us, please. But props to them for the creative thinking, because I would not have thought that.
No. But I mean, if they can reuse any of that to save time on it, I mean.
Well, it reminds me of a little factoid I heard earlier this week, that when creating Blast Core, Rare, the developers, set a polygon limit for all of the game's models to make sure that it wasn't going to lag on the N64. And when they'd created one of the characters, they had it was like a robot, and they'd gone over their polygon limit. So to meet it, they just chopped off his arm. So he just has one arm, and that's how it works.
I mean, hey,
so
I mean,
what is it? Limitations breed creativity.
Exactly. I mean, and it worked. So I mean, now you got a one-arm robot that everyone remembers from the N64. So.
Exactly.
It is insane how the older games like that, in systems, they used to do a bunch of crazy stuff like that to make it work. Like they had to work with the limits that they had, and reuse different backgrounds throughout the game and do whatever they could to make it look different, even though it's the same structure essentially.
Yeah, no, it's weird to think about the way, like, really well programmed games are really efficient. Like in the original Super Mario Brothers, the clouds and the bushes are the same sprite, just colored differently. Like they just applied a different color palette to it. Like when you really look back even to like 8 and 16-bit, just seeing the lengths programmers went to just save space and squeeze every bit of space they could on a cartridge, it's mind-blowing sometimes, really.
Yeah, and kudos to them, because it's what allowed games to really evolve into what they are now.
Yeah.
Moving on, speaking of like creators being able to make amazing games, things like that. Elden Ring. This is from Software. This is from Forbes.com. It says, From Software's Elden Ring development continues and new game is in final stages of production. This is by Paul Tassi. It said, today, Japanese site 4Gamer has an extensive interview with Hidetaka. Oh my gosh, I can never remember his first name. Miyazaki. What's his first name?
Hidetaka Miyazaki.
Thank you, Hidetaka Miyazaki, president of From Software, the developer of the biggest hit of 2022, Elden Ring. There are a lot of good tidbits found throughout the interview, including the main headline that a new From Software game is in the final stages of production right now, meaning we could see yet another massive new title from them in relatively short order. We have no clue as to what that might actually be, yet as fans salivate for Dark Souls 4, Bloodborne 2, Armored Core, or something brand new like Elden Ring. In terms of the Elden Ring itself, Miyazaki talks a lot about how surprising the scale of its success has been and confirms that the development continues on Elden Ring going forward, but stops short of confirming or announcing any actual DLC. Doing the math on the past From Software titles that have gotten DLC in the past, we could, in theory, be a couple months away from a DLC announcement for Elden Ring, and it could make it out by the end of this year, if not likely within a year of release at least. So, by next April. It says, but again, no firm news here other than confirmation the game will continue to be supported from here. The last few patches have been about bug fixes, not game balance, so we'll see what they have planned next. Miyazaki also talks about how he wants to do something that is more abstract fantasy, which does not seem to be the project that is in the final stages of production. Quote, in the medium to long term, I would like to work on a fantasy with a high degree of abstraction than past works. End quote. So, and like they said here, I'm not precisely sure what Miyazaki is considering abstract fantasy.
Well, yeah, and it says that
But
also it could just be the translation because it was originally in Japanese, and Japanese and English don't really translate super well.
right.
So like abstract fantasy might not be what he said. I'm wondering though if it's going to be kind of like a Final Fantasy sort of thing where it's like sort of medieval but also like Final Fantasy 4 was more steampunk. So it could be
Right.
technically sorry, that would be Final Fantasy 6. It was Final Fantasy 3 in the US, it was Final Fantasy 6 in Japan, and Final Fantasy is just messed up. The numbering system is messed up. Final Fantasy 6 was more steampunk, so but it was like still set in like a medieval setting, but it just had I don't know.
Yeah, I'm excited to see kind of what they have to bring to the table. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Elden Ring was an amazing hit. It brought people in from everywhere that didn't usually play those type of games. Like I'd never played the Souls games or like Bloodborne or anything like that, but when I hopped into
Right.
Elden Ring, I loved it. So, if they can make another game similar but yet seem different but the same, just open world with no waypoints, no direction, no like like it truly felt like you were dropped into a world and you had to just figure it out. And to
Okay,
me those are amazing, you know.
hot take. I actually hate that.
I know you do. I know you do. Because
I
that's how
get
you are in real life too, and that's not a bad
yeah.
thing.
It's
But
just
that's
it's
how a lot of
different
people are.
tastes. My excuse me. I guess my big thing right now is it feels like every game feels like it has to be that in order to be good, and that's not the case. You can have a really really good game while still having a more focused linear experience. Um and I appreciate that because it means that I'll get through it faster. It just feels like most games feel like they have to create these just like sprawling open worlds, which, in my opinion, leads it to feeling a little bit more lifeless and boring and like a slog, unless it's done exceptionally well. And especially now, like Skyrim can get got away with it. I guess I've never played Skyrim. Maybe Skyrim was an amazing open world, but like when you were first starting out, you had a little bit more leeway to be a little bit like more empty. Shadow of the Colossus it feels empty, but it was a PS2 game. It was like one of the pioneers of that scale. Now, if you're not going to be able to do it really, really well, I would rather have a smaller, focused, more linear experience. I've never played Elden Ring. I don't know that I will. I think it's too big. But yeah, Zeal kind of agrees with me. Railroading a story gives me a better idea of the progress that I've made. Yeah, I like feeling like I've done something. Um, that said, it can be done. It can be done well, and it can turn out really well, as we've seen with Elden Ring. I just am a little tired of this idea that it feels like every game feels like it has to be Elden Ring scale to be critically acclaimed, which is just not true.
Oh, I agree. I fall on two huge sides of the fence. Like there's usually not a middle ground with me. So if I'm tired of these, it's kind of open, like the maps are big, but they're still maps that lead you in a certain story. I don't like that. If
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna try to make me feel like I'm in a world, then don't have me run into invisible walls or for whatever reason make every single door leading outside of the city blocked by something or
Right.
what. Don't make it seem like fake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, be intentional about making it linear. If you're not, then make it super open and sprawling. Now with the closed, like I love Elden Ring for what it was. Okay, they drop you in there, do all that stuff. But I also love games like, gosh, I can't think of it right now. I want to say Banner Lord 1, 2, and 3 or something like that. Uh,
Bannerlord?
I'm trying to think of the right name. Oh my goodness. Anyway, it's
Mountain Blade?
what?
Mountain Blade Bannerlord?
No, 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 no. It's I'll try to type it up here in a second. But essentially, it's a anime style Japanese, not Japanese maybe. I don't know. Now I can't even think of how to describe it. I'm not good at that. But it's a on art style Banner Saga. Thank you,
Banner
Zio.
Saga.
And it's you make choices. You can have people survive, die, whatever. You get to make choices along the way, and it's turn-based combat. But the story's there, if that makes any sense. So like it's
Gotcha.
totally separate, but yet there's still this intense story that you can affect and you can change. And that's
Hmm.
what I like. I like being able to change the story. I don't care how I can change the story, but as long as I feel like I'm in some sort of control, some sort of I want to feel like my decisions matter, not oh that person was going to die no matter what or that was going to happen no matter what you did. There was nothing you could do to change it. Your path's set and nothing you can do to fix it.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah. See, I'm even like I'm okay with even more linear than that. I like just being able to experience a story and just kind of see what happens. Um, if I feel too much pressure that I'm influencing the story, I sometimes overthink things, and then that still slows me down. Um, it's why I'm enjoying Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's why I like Skyward Sword, like Zelda games. Although I liked Breath of the Wild, even though then still the story was linear. Like you were going to get to the end of the story regardless. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like again the branching storyline is something that was really popular for a while, less so now, but for a while it felt like every game was like branching storyline where you impact the story, and it's just like again, just do your own thing. And it looks like Banner Saga really did try to do its own thing with the like hand drawn art style, and it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, I liked the turn-based combat too because you felt like you were able to be part of these battles and feel
Mhm.
like you were doing something, but at the same time, um, it gave you time to think about it. Like turn-based, I used to hate turn-based. I always liked real-time strategy, and the more I've kind of played and more I've looked into it, I'm not good at real-time strategy. It's a lot easier for me to be like have the game on pause, let me think about what I'm
Yeah,
gonna do, and actually figure it out, and I enjoy
I
it.
I really like turn-based battling systems. That's one of the things I liked about Wildermyth, which I don't know if I ever talked about Wildermyth on the podcast. It
I
was a
don't
game
think
I
so.
reviewed, I think, last October, somewhere around there. It's like it's like a pop-up book art style, but D&D style like campaigns and stories and battles on like a grid-based, I don't know. It's really interesting. It's one of the most unique games I've played. It's all modular. Like this the story is procedurally generated, if that makes any sense. So it's like the game is making up the story as it goes along, and you do like your characters can die. There's permadeath, but you can also like recruit people back at the village who then like age and grow up along with you as the campaign goes along. So it's a really interesting game. If you've got any interest in D&D and like tabletop RPGs, this is like the beginner's CRPG, computer RPG. Like
Right.
it's the perfect introduction to that on a video game. It's really unique. I really enjoyed it.
What's it called again?
Wildermyth, Wildermyth. It's on PC. I think it might be on Switch too. I'm not sure.
It's got a 10 out of 10 on Steam and 90% PC Gamer.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's really good. Yeah, it's on Switch
ta-
and PC.
Tactical role-playing video game developed and published by World Walker Games. First released in 2019. It released in full in June 2021. So it's pretty new.
Yeah. Hey,
They
and
say
this one I
Nintendo
know
Switch is in development.
I know I say this all the time, but my review for this one actually is posted. So I'll link it in the description if you're watching on YouTube or listening afterwards. But if you Google Geeks Under Grace Wildermyth, you can see everything I have to say about it right there. So I know I say this a lot, but this one actually is published. So I can say that.
Um, I wish I don't think it's on Xbox, but I wish it was. I might just have to get it. Is it on mobile?
No, it's just PC and Switch.
Well, it said Switch was in development. Is that out now?
I don't know if it's out quite yet. Let me see.
If it is, I'll get it on my
Programmed
wife's Switch.
eShop. Doesn't look like it's out yet, but it will be.
I might wait for it to come
Hold
out
it.
on
It said
Switch
in
then.
December. Let's see. December of 2021. It says you'll be waiting at least a year. So it'll
Bummer.
take a while. But yeah,
Then I might just get it on PC.
it's good, man.
It looks fun, and you said like you can just kind of choose what you do and all that.
Yeah, you choose where to march across the kit. Like, so basically, the way the game works is you've got a big map where you're like trying to like manage. There's like evil creatures coming at the world from all over and taking over different points, and you have to manage your units to go wherever you want. And then when you actually encounter creatures, you go into a battle, and like some of them are you're like assaulting, sometimes you're trying to escape because you've been ambushed, and then sometimes you'll go to a town and you'll fortify it and like build up a militia, and there will be a siege and you have to like guide the entire town to fight back against the siege. So there's different mission types. Sometimes you'll like one of my characters started out as just like a poet, but then he eventually became a mage and he found this like magical crystal that he fused with, and then one of his arms became this crystal like scythe, and he became my most powerful character because he could use magic and also swipe people with a giant crystal claw.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's just a random like
Mhm.
just, and so every playthrough is different.
Yes, you will not have the same game experience twice. And like they started out as young 20 somethings, and by the end of it, they were like 50 and like getting older. But the characters that I recruited on earlier were like mid 30s and about ready to take their place. Like it's really cool.
So how do you end the game?
The campaigns end after I think like a certain level of cycles. So like every cycle will be like 10 years, and then depending on how well you do in that, there'll be like 10 years of rest where the enemies might get stronger. It has like deck building mechanics too, so like the enemies will build their decks and it'll be shuffled different depending on how you perform in each era will impact how the next era goes. And I think every campaign's got like 5 eras you have to go through or something like that. It's
Now,
been a while since I've played it.
now once you get through the original characters, like the ones you said were at 50, and then the 30 somethings were going to take their place, could you start with the 30 something characters
Yeah,
and keep
you could
going?
then control them. I think characters retire when they get old enough so that you can't use them anymore. So I think so. Like I said, I never actually finished a full campaign because they're long campaigns, but
I
I
might
don't
have to
know.
check
And
it out.
it's a beautiful looking game too.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds amazing. So I'll have to check that out. But yeah, so we'll see what awaits for Elden Ring and
Yeah, sorry.
Miyazaki and everything that he has in store. Moving on though, no, nope, 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 not that, not that. Mario.
Mario. Yeah. Well, sort of. It's Chris Pratt because we're talking about the Mario movie again. Because it feels like every like month or so I remember that this movie is happening, and I still don't know how to feel about it. I'm simultaneously excited and horrified to see what comes. This is Gizmodo.com. Justin Carter. Chris Pratt hypes up the supposed greatness of his Mario voice as updated version. Chris Pratt is going to voice Mario for Nintendo and Illumination's Super Mario movie, and each day we sit with this knowledge feels like being actively aware there's a clone of yourself just somewhere in the world. The movie's entire voice cast feels like a fever dream, from Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach to Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. Jack Black and Charlie Day as respectively Bowser and Luigi make some sense, though. While the Marvel and Jurassic World actor has done some voice work in the past, his inclusion in this is the biggest head scratcher of them all, mostly because we haven't actually heard his Italian accent that we're told won't be offensive. As we all await with bated breath for whatever the heck this voice will be, Pratt himself recently teased threatened that his vocal take on the Nintendo mascot will be one for the ages. Speaking to Variety, Pratt said that he's worked extensively with directors Michael Jelenic and Aaron Horvath to make his Mario distinct from voice actor Charles Martinet, who has voiced the character and his brother Luigi, plus evil clones Wario and Waluigi, since 1992. According to him, he tried out, quote, a few things, unquote, and please let those be on the Blu-ray before settling on his current voice. Quote, I'm not going to be wearing a plumber suit running all over, unquote, joked Pratt. Quote, it's an animated voiceover narrative, and it is updated and unlike anything you've heard in the Mario world before, unquote. Bold claims from Pratt, particularly since Martinez has come to define the character for 3 decades now. All of this feels like tempting fate, albeit in more of a grim, this could be a train wreck way, not entirely unlike Morbius. Safe to say that the Super Mario movie is a massive wild card, and we'll continue to be tortured with the idea of what this movie could be until we get our first look at it ahead of its April 7th, 2023 release. I'm glad to know that I'm not the only one that feels this way about this movie. I I I don't know what to expect. The wind is blowing my shades. I I am simultaneously excited and horrified because it could be, I don't know. I don't know what it could be.
Zeal does not look like he's excited. um, I think that it'll be good. I think the cast they have is going to make it hilarious. I think if you go in expecting it to be just like, Super Mario Bros, like, and
Yeah,
like you
no,
just
it's not going to be
you
that.
you can't go into any video game movie thinking about the video game. You have to know it has to be separate entities. You can't combine them.
Right.
Um, and I
I
think the
think that's
fact that they're doing it this way is what's going to make it successful because they're not trying to necessarily combine the two.
I think that's why the Sonic movie, I haven't seen the second Sonic movie, but I think that's why the first one turned out so well, is because they took some of the elements of the Sonic games, but they did their own thing with it. And I think the reason that like the Mortal Kombat movie or the Street Fighter movie, neither of which I've seen, but from what I've heard, they tried to just adapt the games into movies, and you just can't do that one to one because you can't take something inherently interactive and put it on the screen. Whereas when you do something like even like Detective Pikachu, I think the reason Detective Pikachu worked is because they took the world of Pokemon and told a story within that world. They didn't take one of the Pokemon games or the Pokemon anime and make it a movie because that wouldn't work. You'd be like going to gym and it wouldn't work. But if you take the world that the games have created and set a story within it, that could work. That said, though, we're looking at the people that brought us Minions and the new Minions: The Rise of Gru taking on Mario with 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 Keegan Michael Key as Toad. Like what is happening? I
It is going to be
I
a
don't know
good.
what's going.
I'm excited.
Even if this movie is a train wreck, I feel like it's going to be entertaining.
It's going to be a funny one.
Yeah, like I don't know. I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see a trailer.
We're going to walk out going, that movie sucked, but it was funny.
Mhm.
And
I'm
that's what I'm
thinking
saying.
we
You got to
might get
go
a
into
so
it
bad it's
without.
good. We're either going to get a halfway decent movie or we're going to get a so bad it's good movie.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
and to be honest, like if you go into it knowing like this movie is going to just be a train wreck and we got to laugh our way through it, then I bet you'll be very pleasantly surprised. If
Probably.
you go in thinking, "Oh, this is going to be the best movie ever because Mario's awesome," and like all this other, like it's probably not going to be what you expect.
Right.
So limit expectations and go from
In
there.
other words, set the bar low and you will be pleasantly surprised every time.
Exactly. Exactly. I learned that with a lot of the games that I've played recently. So yeah. Um moving on quickly to our last topic of the day. Uh oh my gosh, I
Hideo
Kojima.
Kojima.
Hideo, I never say it right. Hideo Kojima put a project on hold because it was too similar to The Boys. This is from thegamer.com. This is by, oh my gosh,
Rhiannon.
something Bevan.
We're going to go Rhiannon.
Rhiannon Bevan. Um, and it says Hideo Kojima was working on an untitled project about a detective team that took down superheroes until he realized it was basically the plot of The Boys. This was revealed today on his Twitter account as Kojima shared that he's getting back into the show following the release of its third season. This project, whatever it could have been called, was seemingly set to star Mads Mikkelsen because, of course, it was. I don't know exactly who that is. I'm not good with names. So,
You what?
can you look up who he was? Mads, Mads, Mikkelsen,
Mads
Mikkels.
Mikkelsen? I have
Yeah.
no idea.
I guarantee you a lot of people know who it is, but I don't. While there would have been differences between the two properties,
He's a
Kojima
Danish.
said,
Sorry, he's a Danish actor.
oh, what's he
Um,
acted in?
Hannibal, The Fantastic Beasts: The Secret of Dumbledore,
Zeal said
Rogue
Mads is
One.
amazing.
He was in Indiana Jones. He's going to be in Indiana Jones 5. He was in the Multiverse of Madness.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen any of these movies. He was in
You've not seen
Moomins in the Comic Chase. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, well, he's pretty popular. So anyway, but yeah, he was going to be starring in it. But it says, while there would have been differences between the two properties, Kojima said the similarities were significant enough that he's put his plans, quote, in storage, end quote, with no indication that he's going to revisit them anytime soon. The tweet has only been shared on Kojima's Japanese Twitter account at the time of writing, so all we have on hand is a rough translation. Still, it makes clear upon watching the first 3 episodes of The Boys, the game director realized that there was way too many similarities. In the tweet, Kojima says the project would have featured a, quote, special detective team, end quote, comprising of a man and a woman. They would have confronted legendary heroes behind the scenes. He also says that the setting and gimmicks were different from what we see in The Boys, but it was still enough to put the whole thing on hold. In any case, Kojima has had plenty to keep him and his studio busy, even without his scrap superhero project. Earlier this month, it was revealed that Kojima Productions is working on an exclusive Xbox game, which we found out at the Xbox showcase.
Yeah.
Which, according to leaks, is titled Overdose. Interesting. He also reassured Sony fans that he will continue to have a very good partnership with PlayStation as well, suggesting that another game is in the works and it will be available on PS5. This is presumably the Death Stranding sequel that Norman Reedus seemed to confirm last month, although this hasn't been officially confirmed either. So, he's busy. He's working on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being like, I'm going to release this amazing idea. I think it's great. This is so cool. I'm so excited. And then before you have a chance to even talk about it, a TV show gets released on it. And you're just like, bummer.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Uh-huh.
Dang it. Like, I mean, I know with me and Wes's brother, Austin, we were coming up with a TV show just off cuff. But if someone if someone comes out with a show like that before we ever had a chance to do anything, number one, it'd be cool because, I mean, hopefully it'd be, cool to see something like what we had in mind. But also, it would be frustrating in a sense because you would be able to watch something that's so close to your idea, but you have no control over.
Right.
And that won't do everything the way you would have done. So you could be watching it. Like, I guarantee he watches The Boys going, this is great, but, oh, man, I would have done this in my game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I wish I
especially
would
given,
know.
I think I would be interested to see Hideo Kojima's take on a superhero game because he's an interesting guy.
Right.
Like I've never actually played a Kojima game. I've never played Metal Gear. I've never played Death Stranding, but I've seen enough to know that Kojima is unpredictable at best. So to see the messages he could put into a game with like evil superheroes, I don't know. That could be interesting. I'm a little disappointed we didn't get it.
Have you seen any of The Boys? I mean, it's a pretty intense show. I've seen a little bit of it, and it's something that I could see him definitely making and doing.
Yeah.
So like you said, I wish we could see a take on how he would do it, but
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. But I just wanted to bring that up because obviously when
Yeah,
he starts doing something or talks about something, you got to listen up. You know.
I am excited to see whatever he comes up with for Xbox, though.
Oh, I know. Overdose. That's an interesting name
Yeah,
if that is what it's
looks
called.
like it might be a horror game. Which, if so, I don't love horror games.
Yeah, but so did Death Stranding. If you watch the original thing of Death
This is
Stranding, you'd be like,
true.
"Oh my gosh, but it was a walking simulator. Carry package. You're
It was
UPS.
An Amazon delivery simulator.
Right, you're the future UPS. That's really all that is. So, we'll see. We'll see what it's like, but yeah. So, that's pretty much all the news that I wanted to go over. Netflix got into
Alrighty,
gaming, so
we've
check it
known
out
that
if
for a
you want
while.
to. But
If anybody really cares about Netflix gaming at this point,
yeah, I looked into it. I mean, it's cool that they offer it, but like Exploding Kittens so far, I think is their best game that they have that people are excited about. So
oh boy,
yeah, it's a card game apparently. I don't know.
yeah,
I
it
haven't
started
played
out
it.
as a card game.
So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a lot more news heavy this time, which is good. It's not just
I think
been
we got a
about
little. Yeah, it's better that we didn't get lost in the weeds. I think.
drugs and everything else, but
Whatever is
again,
happening.
I know it was just a little bit early, but I still, thank you to everyone that came out. Zeal, Derek, Aaron, all you guys, for chilling with us and
Yeah.
hanging out and drinking coffee, talking games. So we'll be back next week with a lot more news. I think
You
I
think?
don't know of any game coming out that's going to be out this week. I'm trying to think. Anyway,
I don't know.
keep your eye on Game Pass. We'll put it that way. If anything does, we'll talk about it next week. Anyway, we hope you guys are watching. We've had a wonderful time doing this. And drink lots of coffee, play lots of games, and have a great week, guys. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. See you around.